Heterosexuals deserve rights and representation. They deserve their human rights and their representation as much as the homosexual deserve theirs. Let's remove a demon speller too from our society today. Hello again, my people. From the dark shadows, Skywalker brings to earth another touchy topic. It is sad that we must feel so restricted to speak honest and fair to any topic. I choose my words wisely to prevent detractors from telling lies about hate speeches. The evidence is in the words themselves. When the discussion for human rights is a call on behalf of the heterosexual, there always seems to be someone coming out of the woodwork armed with hate and imbalance from the homosexual side of the fence. Peace is the wonderful child of justice, and justice is begotten of honor and integrity, obtained by love. Love is goodness, truth, and beauty. When you are the master of any societal culture, then at every decision you must make sure that all three attributes of love are equally at play: goodness, truth, and beauty. Then, for this, your society will be peaceful. Once these tenets are broken, once the system loses its integrity, we will find that for the minutest sway to one side, a child of chaos is born to that degree. But the problem is not only its immediate effect, the problem is that children grow. Every semblance of intercourse, be it physical or spiritual, will bring forth offspring, and these will always grow. So, I remember living in Bermuda for a number of years. One of the most common talk in the streets of Bermuda was that you cannot get anywhere in the country unless you join the Bermuda Gay and Lesbian Association. I believe that is what they called it. In a free society that had to afford the inalienable rights, this suggested that human rights of free will would be taken away because a public thing was made private and the societal structure was turned into a club for one personal sex preference. It was obviously to compel or incite the majority that were heterosexuals to change their nature, or else. Here is what you do not see. To polarize a society, you never allow the majority to make the rules. If you have the people cornered between hunger and desperation, you can order them like P. Diddy ordered Usher. By having everyone living with a sense of injustice, each against the other, separated by their different beliefs or preferences, mass unity will be impossible. This is why they usually have multiple but polarized political parties in these colonial countries. Remember that the puppet masters are not hardly even 1%. So how else can they shepherd a flock and push them around without fear of mass threat, fortified by collective security? The heterosexual has no voice and no one speaks for him. The homosexual can do or say anything and he will be protected. I observed a group of homosexuals in Kingston, Jamaica, that were being unruly and violent on the streets. I saw it on the news for like weeks or months running. There was no real effort to prevent them from doing this for a good while. But in any similar case, had they been heterosexuals, they would be in trouble from the law. The truth is this: the security forces will also be compromised. How do I know? Do I know the workers are the leaders? No. I know the sorcery of polarization that is in use. Even the same thing that you call affirmative action in America can be used to incite some of the most awful spells on a population if wrongfully used. If heterosexuals are the ones that are being deliberately marginalized on a daily basis? Isn't it obvious that more abuse go against them? Months ago, a homosexual was killed by his jealous partner in my community. The rhetoric went out immediately that he was killed because he was gay, which is a disingenuous way for homosexuals to blame heterosexual for everything. There is hardly any incident of of a heterosexual attacking or killing an homosexual in Jamaica because he was gay. Yet the homosexual community continue to drive that untrue rhetoric, and the media pretends like it does not know any better. There are too many incidents of homosexuals killing their own and threatening heterosexuals too. People, I pause to remind you to hit the like button for me. Takes less than a second, if you will. Also press the subscription button and even the bell icon for notification anytime I post a new video. Here is what is ridiculous. There is no word, or there is no such word as heterophobic. Is there? Why then is there a word as homophobic? Can you see it? You need not let people put nonsense in your heads. I hear even Rastafari men talking about how they are not homophobic. There is nothing wrong with being homophobic. There is something wrong with hate and injustice. Hate and injustice is the problem. You do not have to agree to include homosexuals at your party, and you do not have to go to theirs. Justice weighs inside the parameters of how you coexist, not how you have to accept what others want you to accept. To have no gay tendencies does not mean you hate gay people. It means you have your own comfort zone and your own choices, and they have theirs. Their choice must never be that you have to include them or else. Why must the church allow them to be Christians or even consider omitting them as discrimination? It is not discrimination. It is the church being the church. They have a right to their own religion and also a right to tell the heterosexual that he is not allowed there because their God said that a man should leave his father and marry a man. No one would be angry about them saying that or doing that. They could mirror what the church is doing because the church say, leave your mother and father and marry a woman. They could say, the Bible say they could they have to leave their father and marry a man. I will say that it is unjust for any man to make a law to manage what another man does with another man in their spare time. It is unjust for any man to make a law to manage what another man does with another man in his spare time, unless it has social repercussions. Being in private, it is their own business. The fact that the people want to make laws over other people's private affairs is wrong, and I will admit to that. Whoever something stick, let them worry about it while you mind your own business. It's simple as that. I have no problem if a gay person wants to be heterophobic. I would even encourage that. As long as he doesn't mess with me, in fact, the fact that he is heterophobic will mean he will not mess with me. I strongly believe that heterosexuals must naturally be homophobic because, unlike poles do not attract, they repel. Unlike poles repel. A dog named Lion is at our house, right? He trained his little brother, Bully, until the sibling became an adult. So they are two big dogs now. Lion cared for Bully, plays with him. Even now that he's big, he plays with him like a bigger brother. But one day I brought Bully into a space where Lion hangs out. I almost got bitten myself trying to prevent Lion from ripping Bully's throat. He was trying to rip Bully's throat for coming into his space. He did not believe in four balls in one small space, and I got that. I believe the dog and I have that in common. You can bring 1,000 female dogs in lion space and it's all fine. Just don't bring another bull to a brother. That's all. Naturally, straight simply has to be straight. You are supposed to be homophobic. I don't like the idea that a homosexual person will try to use the natural tendency of a heterosexual against him, talking about homophobia and expecting to trick the straight man's mind into guilt for what he is. The time the churches are out there doing blood sacrifice rituals, they could spend protecting the minds of their young men against these acts of sorcery intended to create subliminal intrusive demon spells that will make them feel less of themselves and of what they are and soften up for the gay mindset to enter into them. That's all it is. And all these spells, we know we don't have to argue about them. Whoever came up with them know, and they know that I know because I'm calling it out. It is also simply wrong to teach homosexuality in schools or to come up with the idea that a child's gender needs changing. There is no debate about this. It is completely wrong, and I would advise all mankind, straights and homosexuals alike, to make it stop. It is sad to see that everything is designed for homosexual people, but straight people must conform and heterosexuals are hardly represented in governments anymore. Someone must observe and make this spate of tyranny end. This does not mean that the masters are all homosexuals. Neither does it mean that the homosexual community started this as a conspiracy or anything like that, for it would not be 100% true, neither 50%. No, it means that homosexuals are being chosen as a minority utility group, fed a sense of injustice, given a vengeful or vindictive mindset, and then strategically put into leadership or power positions. Otherwise, they were given higher wealth to use against the masses, but with the mindset that they are only defending themselves. So it is not like they kind the idea, but it worked out in their favor in that way. Just like it worked out in the white man's favor, just like the women are empowered and the men polarized. It's always these divisions are set up this way. Like the force that is above power force is kept down. The force that is the minority is always raised up. And neither is it the homosexual's fault why this attains. All he knows is that he was given opportunities where doors seemed to be opening and he took them. He did what he had to do to take them. He was given a mindset of injustice, so he moves to protect his own by design. It all plays to the tune of hidden agendas. But the original agenda was not like a homosexual agenda. This was something that was handed in his hand, and he was convinced that we are protecting you, and you can now take the handle and protect yourself. And we are giving you a working template, so you will become powerful, and ain't no heterosexual guy can say anything against you again. You will be dragging him by the balls. So now, Tupac and Biggie are murdered, and P. Diddy becomes the big man. Bob Marley and Tash are murdered, and they tell you people don't want that kind of music anymore. bring in sex and guns in dancehall and sell more. They don't tell you that they are the ones that incited it. They are the ones that make it sell more. And they are the ones can sell the original music if they like. Now rappers, all these aspiring rappers think they must agree to a rapper pam pam by Diddy to sign them a contract. The homosexual or even bisexual will find that doors open at the top and he is in power now. The society is forced to believe, forced by subliminal effect, to think that all had better be gay. In fact, even the clothes in the stores and all the dress codes are making the men seem feminine. Look, this is not just a case of homosexual and heterosexuals. For example, when they began to polarize the Jamaican gender system to the degree back in the 90s, they refused me a house on the basis that me being a single father was not a female single mother or professional nurse or teacher. But yet they were taking my money for the very thing I applied for. It is unjust, and going forward, I would live with that sense of injustice. They know what they do. For all the triggers and links are there when you look at the wider picture. The entire spell is there. Every T is crossed and every I dotted. It is a why you cannot just look at the one simple thing. It's a broader societal picture, and all the pinnacles you can find them where they are supposed to be. If your mind is not open to these things, it will take you a while to see them. As soon as a spell, if I'm sitting here and a spell pops up on the radio, I know exactly what they are doing. Even though your prime minister might not. Sometimes I feel like these third world governments are micromanaged from a distance and they do what they are told without really knowing what it is are the implications to their society. They start in a subtle way Are they start in subtle ways to tell you how men were brutes and women were perfect? Women did nothing wrong. When a woman did any kind of violent abuse to any man, it was just an abuse, and rightfully so. When a man did an abuse against any woman, it was violence against women. So now, violence was not just violence anymore, it was a gender. It was compartmentalized. And when you begin to compartmentalize violence, is when you begin to polarize the two genders. For all the psychologists who want to learn something today, this is how you polarize the male and female and bring them to loggerheads. The women now begin to live with a sense of injustice and to hate even the innocent brother. The trick is that the news channel will generalize the topic in a certain way as these men, and it subconsciously comes off as all men. When the suggestion is made to resist violence against women by these brutish men, it is a subliminal, or let's say it is subliminally passed as a war between women and men. Women will seek their vengeance. Then, slowly, doors will start opening for women, and the men will be marginalized. They will start becoming worthless. This time, and I mean, it's not difficult to show you what made the men become worthless, as people call them. It's obvious what happened, but this is like for a different video. This time, although the women are the majority, the men having the money will serve more people and alleviate more of the poverty that drives crime. Therefore, they had to be marginalized. It's better to give the women the opportunity than the men because women having the money will hardly change the society, will hardly what's the word, alleviate. Women having the money will hardly alleviate the stress at the community. Men having the money will make the money go around. Men are self-sacrificing naturally. This is why I always say that only a noble must be a noble. No man must be taken off the street or out of college and be made into a political leader, president, prime minister, etc. Without knowledge of the societal template, you will do horrible damage to a people. This same dynamic played out years ago with race, as in the minority white and the majority colored populations. The white man will feel he protects himself by keeping the majority out, and the homosexual believes that he serves his own interests to gain inclusion by keeping all heterosexuals out. They did not make it so. Their mindsets were cultivated, conditions were created, and their results and outcomes were compelled by means of subtle sorceries. The reason why most of the priests in the Catholic Church would either be gay or secretly open to it is because there will be no better way to usurp the church. How would it help the exploiters to discuss with heterosexual Christians about making God accept gays as priests? This will also be true for countries, especially black ones, where the people resist the inclusion of homosexuality as a formal entity to its structure. I am saying that in all or most of these countries, even in Africa and Jamaica, most, if not all, of your politicians are either homosexual or they are willing to work with whatever the homosexual agendas they have already obviously compromised. For if they were not compromised, they probably would not even be there. Some of them will tell you that they are not homosexual because they will define themselves as bisexual to avoid the topic. So, by saying they are not gay, they avoid telling the truth by definition. The same system that is corrupting are destabilizing using are destabilizing using homosexuality as a utility. The same system that is corrupting and destabilizing uses homosexuality as a utility, a tool. Your politicians to their UK and North American bosses are like Usher to P. Diddy. They just think they have to obey because they ride in the plane. See how many times the Prime Minister will jump up and say, okay, I have to take this plane to go see the Majesty. And then P. Diddy will tell Usher, Usher, we're going to jump on the plane and go to New York. Rapapam pam, papapam pam, hurry. They think they have to obey because they're right in the plane. And I must say this to you. I believe that this single mother stuff nowadays is not working. Not every mother is a two-pack mom. Many of our men do not operate in their alpha mode, and it is very sad. Just because you want somebody to play your music and he is chasing you about cock-a-doodle-doo, you think you are a hen now? This is not how we grow you. You can always be a man. It's not like you are begging that right and a man say cuckoo-doodle-doo and you forget who you are. The Germanic race had a sad history back in the ancient past when their men became predominantly gay at one stage. It did not make the society better. No woman hardly got pregnant and they were desperate. Women had to show their body parts from their windows even at broad daylight to save the population from going extinct. The things that men would say to women at that time, like they loathed women because they were homosexual. And if you follow history, even if you read the Bible and all of that, all of them are coming, the chauvinistic principles are coming from men at a time like that. They didn't even want to see women. They loathed, they have the women's seven natural fault came from the same type of men, the Germanic men. And there was a time, when women, I hate this saying race thing, but When white women used to do everything so that they would be sold to the Egyptian pharaohs as slaves because the black men treated them better. Being sold as slave was a better life for them. We do not want all these things to happen anymore among humankind. And not even humankind, I like to say mankind instead. Women had to show their parts, I said, at the windows. The world must take heed. The heterosexual is under attack and it is not good. We do not want to see these things recurring in any population. The puppet masters control the sheep masses by turning them into cells, and the population by forcing the people or prescribing the belief that an homosexual society is equally viable. Yet, homosexuals existed for eons and there was never a problem except that they were different. To equate a natural order with the other choice is impossible. Yet, when the issue is turned to enmity, when the issue is turned to enmity between parties, the one that feels victimized will not want to care if he is wrong or right in principle. Homosexuality is a fair choice because of the natal laws of free will. Homosexuality is wrong. It is wrong in terms of the societal structure. It is wrong in terms of the societal structure where it regards nature or the natural way of being. This is not supposed to be a debate because it's obvious. It is wrong to say that mangoes grow downwards or mango tree grows downward into the ground. The top of it grows downward in the ground. No, the top of it grows towards the sky. We can't not say we're gonna say it grows towards the ground because somebody wants it that way. This is not how we debate. If look, if you want to start raising birds, would you buy two males for a pair because of gay rights? One is simply wrong in principle. There are separation of issues. Yes, there is the right to free will, which is perfectly 100%. But there are separation of issues along certain lines. But for some reason, the human herd finds it so difficult to see the very simple things that attack them. How can you tell a heterosexual that he is homophobic and that it is a bad thing when the description of homophobia simply comes back to mean the heterosexual natural tendencies? No, you think you are so righteous fighting against what you are because someone tells you a word whose meaning you never even considered to investigate. Come on. For all these eons past, the homosexuals knew to leave the heterosexual alone. There was no gay problem in society. In fact, I remember as a child, decades ago, the idea of someone being homosexual seemed like a myth. Why must you now dupe the homosexual into believing that the problem is that the heterosexual is being heterosexual, as if the heterosexual is an intruder? He was always here, doing that nature created him for. He was doing that nature created him for. There are no grounds upon which to displace or supplant him by an unworkable solution. They both have the free will. However, if one was the intruder, it is also obvious which one it would be. This is simply based on the fact, as we will all see, why assault the innocent heterosexual community with this abuse all day. Peace out.